Hello everyone, it's Karina with Karina Loves to Plan. Thank you for joining me in my little corner of the internet where we talk all things planners, fountain pens, and fountain pen inks. Today, I get to do something fun where I've been inspired by Julia here, where she does a huge, lovely, fun art project to try and find an ink to match with certain pens in her collection. I filmed this new pen day video just actually yesterday, and then I thought, how fun would it be to try and find an ink that would match this? Because I feel like, I don't know if the camera is picking up all the pinks and like light purples and kind of yellowy browns in here, but I feel like there's so much that can be found in the cracked ice resin of this Hogtown Pens Swansea Large in the Conway Stewart Opal. If you haven't seen that video yet, I will leave the link in the corner here. But otherwise, I have 8 inks that I want to swatch in my Hobonichi A5 notebook. I'll be swatching with my sandwich bag, as well as my Kakimari stainless steel nib, and this is on my River City Penco nib holder. Let's get started. First ink that I thought would be a good match could possibly be Sailor Shikiori Kitsune Biori, and you could see how some of the pinks in there could match some of the browns and pinks that are in here. And this is the last little bit that's left in this bottle, and don't worry, I did buy a second bottle for myself. It's not that often that I buy a second bottle of any ink for myself. So let's do this. I'm taking my plastic pipette here and kind of swirling that around, and then I'm going to take my sandwich bag. And you want a sandwich bag with lots of those little wrinkles. You don't want a very smooth sandwich bag, because essentially you want the ink to go into all those little crevices so that it really shows off the shading. How fun is that? It actually looks so much darker there, but I'm hoping that it's gonna look that much better once it's dried. Oh, I got some all over the paper here. So this is Sailor Shikiori Kitsune Biori. I love this ink so much, and like you can see some of the pinks and the browns here. I cannot wait to see that dried. The second ink that I think would go really well with this pen is PenBBS Mung Bean Cake, and I haven't actually used this in a while, but when I did use it, I thought I have to hang on to this sample because I just love it. So just a little bit, and honestly, less is more when you're doing these sandwich baggy swatches. And it's hard to believe that something like a sandwich bag can be so fun for swatching, but I love it. Then spread a little bit more there. And then what I also like to do is lift up the bag and then place it in a different spot so you can get different shapes like that. And then love the lighter brown of this as well. So let's get a little bit on my nib here. So this is PenBBS number 443 Mung Bean Cake. And if you could hear a little breathing aside from me talking, that's Lucy. She's sat on my lap taking a nap. All right, those two so far, loving them. The next ink I think would go really well is Wearingeul, the Nightingale, and the Rose. And you wouldn't think it would go well, but I think just the brown in this plus that shimmer might bring out some of the, I guess, pink in here as well. So here we go, a little bit on my pipette here. And these pipettes you can get from Amazon. They're quite cheap. I think I got a pack of them for like about, I got a pack of 100 gosh, for quite cheap. All right, try not to get, although I mean, if some of the inks run together, that's also the fun of it too. Somebody commented on the last video that I did of this that it's kind of that thing where you look at those, was it Rorschach shapes that psychologists want you to look at and tell you what they see. And last time I did this with White Rabbit, the White Rabbit shape actually looked like a crazy rabbit. So this is Wearingeul, Nightingale, and Thoreau's. Yeah, I really like that little bit of pink shimmer in here, but I think it might be maybe too bright for the opal. I don't know, actually. I really like that. I really like that. So Wearingeul, Nightingale, and the Rose. The next ink that I think would go really well is Diamine Weeping Willow, and this is from the 2023 Inkvent calendar, I believe it is. So just grabbing a little bit here. And, ooh, almost lost my sandwich baggie. It's hard to try and do anything when you've got your dog in your lap. Smoosh it. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want like one big blob. I like the little shapes. There we go. That's why I like to do the lines, because I'm not a big fan of like the big blob like that. So this is Diamine. Whoop. Maybe I'll take some of that here. Diamine Weeping Willow. A lot of people, when this first came out, thought it was too light, but I really enjoy this ink. There's so much chromo shading that's happening here that I think could work really, really well with this pen. So Diamine Weeping Willow. This next one I feel like is kind of a, oh, what is the word for it? I don't know if it's a random pick necessarily, but we'll see. It's Sailor Manyo Shirakashi, and this one is kind of like a green brown. When I was looking through my different ink swatches, this felt like a good kind of out of the box choice. And sometimes there's gonna be those pen and ink pairings where it's not always gonna match, and that's okay. Thing is, if I had a pen for every type of ink out there, my collection would be insane. So, Sailor Manyo Shirakashi. Just using my nail here. Actually, I could use the back of the nib holder and then lift up and get a little bit more down here. But then I've created a blob. So we'll wait for that to dry. It definitely looks a lot more green, but I feel like there's like tiny little flecks of green in there. And the way that it dries down is lovely. So this is Sailor Manyo Shirakashi. I really like this ink, and I haven't used it in a while. I really should do. The next ink I think is going to bring out some of the purples or the really light mauves that are in here. You've got Pilot Iroshizuku Shiungyo. And somebody had asked me if I wanted, or if I could compare this to another ink. Oh gosh, Lucy. Lucy is putting her head on top of my arm. She's making it very difficult to do anything with both hands. And I'm so afraid I'm going to knock something over, puppy. Let's move this ink over here. Oh, I know. Yeah, oh, that's fun. And then lift that up. Add a little bit more here and here. Cool. I really like how that looks. Yeah, it's been a while since I've used the sandwich bag. Like before the pen and ink pairing that I did in January, I hadn't used the sandwich bag method in ages. So it's nice to get back to methods that I used to use so often. Shiungyo. I really love this deep, darker purple, and I feel like it could be a good match for some of the darker spots that are in here. But also, I feel like it's that type of pen, though, where you could make purple work. Interesting. So, Pilot Iroshizuku Seungyo. Next, I have Taccia Ume Murasaki. Now, somebody asked in a previous video, and I can't remember which video it was. Somebody asked me to compare this with Pilot Iroshizuku Seungyo, and I thought, well, what perfect opportunity to do pen and ink pairing with these. And then you can see, oh my gosh, I did not mean to do that big blob in the middle. Oh well, I will make it work. Or, come on. I guess, though, any ink spillage could be used towards. There we go. Oh, I know, puppy. Now she's licking my arm. Okay. Whoops. I've got my paper baggie. Yeah, it's definitely different to Seungyo. It's definitely more brown and more pink. Love that. Oh, and I've got some off the page there. That is okay. So we have Taccia, and this is a very wet ink, Ume Murasaki. But like the browns and the pinks in there are lovely, and I think that could go really well with this pen too. We'll wait for it to dry. Oh, I hate getting it like off the page like that, but whatever. It's all art. And last but not least, I have Ferris Wheel Press Oyster Hour. This is what I originally inked this pen up with the other day when I did the writing test, and I thought it worked pretty well. So let's see this swatched compared to the other inks that I have on this page here. And again, less is more when it comes to the ink splotches. One, because you really want to see the shading effects, and if you have too much ink, you may not see the shading. But two, then it'll just take ages to dry, and I get impatient. So let's see, there's some staining in here already. Okay, go jump off. There we go. I'm just telling Lucy to jump off here. Ah, and I'm getting some Seungyo as well. Really lovely. And then, oh, I hate when I do that. Okay, so this is Ferris Wheel Press Oyster Hour. All right, so there are the inks that I think would really go well with my opal pen. I will let these dry and then we'll compare. Are kind of the dark horse. I mean, does Sailor Manyo Shirakashi really go? But you know what? Now that I see it next to it, I would totally ink up Sailor Manyo Shirakashi with that. There might not be a ton of green in this, but I would totally still put them together. Yeah, absolutely. And then we have Seungyo. I don't know. I feel like now that it's dried, I feel like it's too purple for this pen, but I don't think that would necessarily stop me from using this ink in this pen. It kind of reminds me of, and I don't know why I didn't make this comparison before, but okay, I took out my Heinz pen in the Champagne at Midnight thinking they'd be really similar, but actually they're not. And then, yeah, I think actually either one of them, I'd probably still be completely open to using them, even if they aren't an exact match. Yeah. And then we have Taccia Ume Murasaki and Ferris Wheel Press Oyster Hour. I think this is such a perfect match with that. And then I think Taccia Ume Murasaki can certainly bring out some of the pinky mauve that's in the cracked ice resin as well. Oh my gosh, it's such an interesting resin. Actually, now that I turn this area, I think this could go really well with Shirakashi too. You don't think it has that much depth to it, but when you look at it a little bit closer, it's not just kind of this yellowish beige. There's some whites, there's purples, maybe there's a tiny bit of like green in some of the intersections, but such an interesting resin. So let's look at this all on one page. So there is the pen with all of the different ink possible ink pairings. And I think actually I underestimated how many inks could possibly go with this. If you're not someone who does exact matchy-matchy, then I'm sure you could put probably anything you wanted to. But now that I see this, and I think the color that's coming through in this area is also from the color in the converter, and that makes it look a little green. I think that would go really well with Shirakashi, but I think Tasha Ume Murasaki, how bright that is, would go with the sections in here. But I feel like Diamine Weeping Willow is a fantastic match, as well as Ferris Wheel Pressed Oyster. Actually, you know what? All of them. I love all of them. I mean, that's why I chose these. But I think this one could definitely almost be that, what do I want to say? Be that kind of dark horse pen that you would want to ink up with almost anything. Okay, but that is it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. What do you think of my pen and ink pairings? I think they're just so fun to be able to take a pen that you think it's going to be easy to find a pen and ink pairing, but then when you do something like this, you're like, actually, there's so many things that could go with it, which is fun because that's the whole point of being able to have so many inks and your pens as well, is to be able to, if you like to match, see what could go with your current pen. All right, if you want me to do more of these pen and ink pairings, just let me know down below. Otherwise, thank you all so much for watching, and don't forget to hit that like button and to subscribe. Thanks again, and have yourselves a great day.